It's the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast. It's the podcast.
The seller's disclosure is like 14 pages long. I don't know. It's a very long document.
It's 22 pages, yeah.
I mean, look, the point of it is, if you lived in your home, you will know all the things that are wrong with your home. And even though people get home inspectors, you are supposed to disclose. You always were required to disclose any called material defects. Say it was your parents' house and they moved or left the home for whatever reason, and you don't know. You just say, I don't know. I didn't live there. You get this case when it's someone buys a home, in sheriff's sale, and they never occupied the property. But all I can say is, if you do know, you better report it. Because
what happens if you fill out this form and you fill it out with all the best intentions, but you have a couple of wrong answers because an inspector found something wrong? Can this legally make you liable for lying on the disclosure?
Well, you just said two different things. They didn't know or they lied. I personally feel it will always catch up with you if you say, oh, I don't know. And you did know, because there are ways people can tell if you did know and you try to remedy it. Like, it's always best to have full disclosure if you know of a problem and then you state it. Honestly, it protects you. If you state it here, the buyer has to sign this, that they saw it and read it. If you disclose it and they sign it, then it actually, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, protects you, because you said, I disclosed this to you and you signed this. So you can't say you didn't know, and you can't say I didn't disclose it to you. That's what I'm saying. Always disclose.
Have you obtained any required permits for any such item or task? I have a feeling some people do some work in their homes or on their homes that are not properly permitted. That could be a little bugaboo when somebody comes in and say, well, what's this new kitchen doing here? And you got no permit. Some towns, it's better to ask for forgiveness than get permission, sure?
Well, that's in any place. A lot of people do that. I had one client who called me and like, hey, my neighbor's like building this like man cave, like right up to my property line. He like built this structure. But it's not like the city drives around looking for these things. The only way they know when there's something going on that shouldn't be going on is if somebody calls. So,
and this is the type of form, 22 pages of questions. This is almost sounds like they gotta get a home inspector to do this form with them. It seems like that would be the smartest thing to do, is hire a home inspector to help you fill out this 22-page form. Or am I right or wrong about that?
Well, it's not like the type of thing. Like if I had this question, I'd have to just look at my electrical panel and try to guess, or I could, you know what I mean? It's not like the type of thing a lot of people know off the top of their head.
Let me just go to the next one. Question number 65, Sherry Lilienfeld of EXP. 65. If yes, were the proper building permits and approvals obtained? Are you aware of any wall switches, light fixtures, or electrical outlets in need of repair? Wow. Everybody thinks it's such a luxurious job to be a realtor, but you got to fill it. These forms seem like it could take you all night.
I'm going to tell you something. We as realtors are not allowed to complete this form. We are specifically instructed that it is the seller that completes it.
Does it have to get notarized after it's done and signed off on?
No, but we cannot fill this out. Oh, yeah, it's part of the listing package. Say, oh, by the way, you got to complete it. Because when an offer comes in, it has to come in with this signed by the buyer. Like, it's part of the paperwork that a buyer needs to see before an offer comes in. Is when there's a home inspection, a lot of people say to me, oh, are you going to be there? We're also told not to be there during a home inspection because, again, that's not our area of expertise. And realtors like to try to fix problems and be the answer person. And a lot of times they talk about things that's not in their area, like, about the physical condition of a property. I mean, even though I'm an engineer, I'm not a structural engineer. I can't talk to you about the structural integrity of a house. I'm not trained in that way. But a lot of realtors like to talk that way. Hey, you should take care of this, and maybe you need to look at this. That's why you have a home inspector.
If I could direct your attention, Sherry Lilienfeld, to question number 85 on this disclosure sheet. Are you aware if the property is subject to any deed restrictions or other limitations on how it may be used due to its being situated within a designated historic district? My bugaboo is short-term rentals. Would you have to disclose that your neighborhood is filled with short-term rental businesses and that for some reason this residential zone has been okayed to allow mini motels to exist?
I don't really hear about it a lot. I mean, when you're down at the shore, you're going to assume that there's a lot of, obviously everybody knows it's a lot more crowded here in the summer, either through homeowners or renters, but it's not a specific disclosure. That item that you picked out, number 85, was about a deed restriction, which is different.
Okay, but maybe this one, are you aware of any potential threatened legal actions affecting your property? Are you aware of violations of fed, state, or local law relating to the property, zoning violations, encroachments on adjacent properties, non-conforming uses? Like non-conforming uses could be a very busy McMansion party house short-term rental in a quiet $2 million neighborhood, right? Maybe, kind of, sort of.
Non-conforming really in the zoning world just means that they went and got a variance for building something.
This is crazy, though. I'm up to 97 questions.
You're only on page 15.
This is a well put together document. I think it's really important, but
Can you imagine being the seller filling it out? It takes them days. It's like crazy.
And you'd be fearful that somebody would use it against you in the future when something goes wrong with the property or whatever.
I mean, the most important thing I could say about it is an overwhelming, daunting document to complete, but it is important that you complete it as accurately as possible.
I love the form, but I wouldn't want to fill it out necessarily,
I think this is why it was optional for so many years, because it was like, oh my God, do we really want to ask our owners to fill this out? And
it does compel, it does encourage the seller to be as truthful as they humanly can.
Yeah, because they're filling this out, they're signing it, but keep in mind the listing agent signs it also. Like, we're required to read this and like question them, and then the buyer has to sign it. And and the buyer's agent has to sign it. Like, it just gets everyone all involved in, if there's any problems with this house, they better be disclosed, and everyone better understand it before you move ahead with an agreement.
Did you ever see somebody having to sign off if a house is haunted? Or there was crimes committed there, or a murder or something creepy. Does that sometimes play a role? Did you ever hear about it?
I haven't specifically been involved in a transaction like that, but yeah, that is one of the topics we talk about in real estate school.
Like, are you sure there's no bodies buried under the foundation? Can you give us a heads up on that one?
Yeah.
Are any buried treasures? Anybody behind the floor or the wall boards or the under the floorboards? I would imagine some of these answers are every so often it pops up.
Well, listen, Sachs' uncle was and his father were attorneys in Pleasantville, and they had a very, one of those buildings on Main Street, a law building, and his uncle was really paranoid, and he would hide artwork and stuff behind the paneling. And then when they sold it, I was like, you sure you checked you sure you checked you got all the treasures out of that house? Because someone else is going to get them. But yeah, people would hide valuable things like under floorboards. I mean, so not just creepy things, really valuable things, money and artwork and things like that behind hidden panels. So, and he was one of them. But it was common for people to do that. A lot of people didn't put their valuables in banks and accounts. They didn't trust them. So for the old homes, I would suggest before you bring the bulldozer over to knock down that house, you better check everything.
Let's wrap this up. Sherry Lillienfeld of eXp Realty. Check her out. Ventnor, Margate, Longport, Brigantine, whatever you need, reach out to Sherry Lillienfeld. And of course, our news stories on downbeachbuzz.com. We have Lips and Drips, the new store, the Med Spa, moved in to Margate, opening their second location. They were originally in South Philly, still there. Now they have a great spot right around the corner from Jagelke's and Castles and all that. They are Lips and Drips by the beach. Got some great stories here. Local teen raises funds with a lemonade stand to help the Longport Police Department get more supplies for their back-to-school supply drive. Rob Schneider coming to Hard Rock. Our favorite pickleballer, who is a Punderful, that's Punderful Pam. Her awesome book, you can get it now at Kid Rages. It's been all year available on Amazon, but it's a Punderful Life, a children's book from Pam Lederer, Pickleballer Pam. Punderful Pam. You can go to Kid Rages. We all know where Kid Rages is in Margate, right across the street from Castles. And there you have it. So we're going to go and say goodbye. All right, Sherry, because I got pickleball to play, and you know how important that is for me.
Go get him.